as I joked about as we were recording beforehand, we first met. Shout out to Tom Morgan and Leading Edge and the blind matching that led us to meet
Yeah.
each other. You at some point you asked me if I'd ever gotten into astrology, and I was like, no, not really. And then like followed up with, I've done this, human design and gene keys before. And you just laughed and you're like, well, you're much further into astrology than you realize. So real quick at a high level, because we'll dive into it deeper. Human design, gene keys, even Enneagram. It's a little bit different, but kind of tells us the same information. Like, what are these tools?
Yeah, so human design and gene keys and the Enneagram, well, let's separate the Enneagram for a second. Human design, gene keys, they're kind of like maps of consciousness. They're how did you come into this world as. Human design is more how am I meant to operate in the world? What is my design? And gene keys is more what is meant to evolve through me in this lifetime. They're both, human design and gene keys are based off of the same system. So human design came first by Ra Ruhu. Everyone has a hard time saying his name, Ra Ruhu. And he was, I think his real name is like Rick or something, something super normal. And he had this like 3-day enlightenment where he downloaded the synthesis of the I Ching, astrology, the Kabbalah, and something else. And he designed this system that tells you how you're meant to operate in this world, which is really great because it indicates that there's no rinse and repeat. Everyone's trying to figure out how can I be successful? How can I be happy, peaceful? And so they're all trying to find the same design as the person that's done it before them, but everyone's different. And so human design shows us how you, as a unique individual, are meant to operate in this world. And gene keys, in a similar way, does that, but how are you meant to evolve out? How are you meant to unfold out into the world?
And just to let people know how do they calculate this? It's just date of birth, time of birth, location.
Yeah.
So a really silly question before we dive deeper. That information is what generates our report. So in theory, if somebody was born at the exact same time as me, they would have the same report, right?
Same day and same time.
Okay. How important is location?
Location is important. Yeah, location is
Okay.
definitely important. So yeah,
Okay.
same time, same date, same location. Yeah,
Okay.
'cause it's
All right.
how are the planets, and actually it's not about the time that you're born. It's about calculated about 3 months before you're born.
I noticed that on the report. Yeah.
Yeah. So, astrology is how are the planets aligned at the time of your birth, and the gene keys in human design are kind of like when you become a human, like when you, in the womb, when you start to become a human and not just, a blob of cells, essentially.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. So then, now that we got this good intro to human design, gene keys, and Enneagram, we're going to put off to the side and maybe touch a bit later on.
Yeah.
Let's get an introduction to Daisy. Let's let everybody know who you are, and then we'll kind of dive into how you came to finding this stuff.
Yeah. So, for a long time now, I've been helping artists, brands, entrepreneurs maximize their impact. And so a lot of the times when I would start to meet with people and thinking about the impact they want to leave, they would start saying, I want to have X amount of followers, I want to have this much money, it was all about what they want to do or what they want to get. And what I found was that a lot of these people were sacrificing their genius to get what they want. And so they were not really thinking about what am I meant to do in this world, or what's really going to fulfill me, or what's my purpose. And this actually started, I managed a music label in New York, and I was working with people that I considered extremely talented, but were not focusing on their genius. We're not expressing their genius. They were expressing what would go viral, or what would get them paid, or what would get them a record deal. And so that's where gene keys and human design started to come in. When I started to work with people on what is their authentic genius that wants to be expressed, it was really interesting to use these tools as a map of consciousness of what are you meant to be doing in this world, or who are you at your core? Who are you meant to be, not what are you meant to do? And so that was a huge game changer. I started learning with myself, and then I started applying it to my clients. And it shifted my work as a coach and a consultant.
How did you originally find Gene Keys Human Design? Just Google it and came across it, or how did it come across your radar?
I actually had a therapist who was like, she was super into it, and she was like, I feel like you might be into this, which usually a therapist doesn't do, but I think she knew that it would really, that I had the mind for it to kind of understand. I like these systems. I like understanding a system, and so she told me to sign up for one of their courses, and I did, and it just blew my mind. Like especially with the Gene Keys, it really just blew my mind. The depth that came with it. Human design is more, I would say, like width. Like it's covers a lot of ground. But Gene Keys, the depth of which you can understand yourself and the world that you operate in is incredible.
You used a term I want to get your definition on. You said that you were working with people who had a lot of genius. They weren't using their authentic genius. What do you mean? What's our genius?
I think we come into this world with a genius, and it gets corrupted by the wounds that we acquire and just the world that we live in. You come into this world in union, right? In unity and in love. And you have a unique expression of that love. And then we have parents, and we have school, and we have jobs, and we have a system that tells us, no, you're meant to be like this, you're not meant to be like this. And we're continually wounded until we completely abandon who we originally came into this world as. And that's where the Enneagram comes in, because it's our ego fixations. It's the way that we cope with that pain of separation. And so that's why I think that the Gene Keys and human design tell us really who we are. And the Enneagram helps us kind of understand where we lost that and how we cope with that. And it's almost like following the breadcrumbs back to who we are. When we know what our ego does to what it fixates on and how it handles the pain, then we can count backwards and be like, where did that start? And where do I come from?
My wife introduced me to Enneagram years before I found human design.
Okay.
Because she read this book. Was it Back to You? I think is what the book is called.
Who's it by?
It has a little bit. I'll have to look it up.
Okay.
I'll look it up while we're chatting. But I think it's Back to You, and it has a little bit more of a religious angle to it, which is not normal because most of these things I feel like religion would shun. But like she knew right away what I was, and it was funny when we talked. You said, "Are you like you've got to be a 7 on the
Yeah.
Enneagram?" And I was like, "Yes, I am."
I can tell immediately, yeah.
So we'll touch a little bit on Enneagram now. So like 7, how did you know that was me, and like why were you right?
So I'm a 7 also, and I've tested as a 7 and as a 4, and it's we're all fragments of a whole. So we can show up as many of them, but there's a dominant type. And 7 is, I like to think of it kind of like a trampoline. A 7 is hopping on a trampoline, and it really wants to ground into the earth and go deep into something, but it just keeps getting sprung back up into the air. And it's really the avoidance of pain. So you had mentioned something, you had said when we were talking how you said that you hadn't faced a lot of adversity in your life. And I said, how is that so? And you said, well, something painful happens, I face it, and then I'm on to the next thing. And that's very much a 7 thing of we see pain. A healthy 7 can face the pain. So you're telling me that you face the pain. And that's how I knew you were a healthy 7. You're like, I faced it, but then I'm on to the next thing. I'm already, so we kind of turn it, we're like, all right, I'm good, I'll go to the next thing. Other types can go deep, they can face it, they can marinate it, they can identify with it. Does that make sense? And so a 7 to their advantage and also to their detriment, they can face it, but then they kind of turn the other direction. They're planning the next project, the next thing, the next pivot. And so I saw that in you. I recognize it in you because I'm a 7 myself. So.
Mm-hmm. And so for the Enneagram, it is an actual like test you take, right? If I remember right, like you go through a series of questions. See, I hate those.
Yeah.
Because as I'm going through them, like I want to justify my answer. And sometimes there's like 2 that I could pick from, or if it's a sliding scale, like I would be here, but I want to like tell you why and justify it. So sometimes I wonder if I answer those as truthfully as I can without justifying away the truth that it's really there.
Yeah, the Enneagram, you probably took it on the Enneagram Institute website. They actually
I
do
think so.
an excellent job of capture. The questions are nuanced for a reason. And so you can't really lie because you're kind of confused. You're like, which one? And they ask enough questions to get to the bottom of it. But yeah, I agree. Most of those like personality things that have questions, I'm kind of like, I could just be lying about this. And it could be different on any different day, you know? But if you take the test again, you'd probably still be a 7. And I think that's an indication that it's doing its job.
Right. The Road Back to You is the name of the book by Ian Morgan Crone and Suzanne Stable.
Okay.
I'll link to it in the notes, but
Okay.
and I'll have links to Human Design, Gene Keys, Enneagram books. So like anybody interested in this that wants to check it out, like
Yeah.
I'll make it easy for you to find.
I can
after you're
suggest
done
a
with
few
it.
as well that
Yeah,
you can
that'd be
add
great.
to the list. Yeah.
So going back to first off, record label. What kind of music was it? Was it a variety of music,
It
or
was
was it
a
a certain
variety
genre?
of music, and it was an indie label in New York City. This was like 10 years ago. Yeah. And it was a variety of music, but mostly house music and some hip hop. But yeah, there was not many artists there. You know, there was like 5 artists that were rotating, and yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. I love music. I love
I
hip
know you
hop
do,
like
yeah.
that. That'd be awesome. So let's go back to that setting. I'm assuming you have the artists and the talent. Get these reports. Once you had them, how did you use that to help them tap more into their genius?
Oh, that's a really good question. It was never about me telling them, be this, do this. It was about learning together. And so it was me presenting information of, this is what it says. How does that resonate with you? And of course, it was me learning the systems. And it's a little bit using, as somebody that's doing a reading, you have to use your intuition as well. You have to make sure you're not taking your own stuff and projecting it onto them, your own desires for them. So yeah, I'm just presenting the information to them, and it always resonates. There's always something, and we go with that. You know, you have your life's work in the gene keys, which we'll see when we get to yours. That usually resonates the most. So yeah, it's about presenting the information to them in a way that they can understand, because it's a complicated system. And then following their intuition, you know, when they're like, oh, that resonated with me. Okay, let's work with that. Let's incorporate it into your branding or into your goals. Or, you know, a lot of the times people say, I want more followers, or I want more of this. And then we look at their gene keys and they get a new vision for what fulfillment looks like. You know, it's not about having more money. It's about being of service, or it's about connecting deeply, or it's about making art, and then the money and the followers and the achievements come as a consequence to that. And so I think gene keys and human design help them get to the more fulfilling goal that they're after.
All right, I have 2 connected questions to this. The first one, you mentioned you have to be careful as the person giving the guide and doing the reading to not be putting your perspective, your personality into it. How do you keep yourself separate? And I asked Ushik the same thing because her episode will be out before yours, and I
Oh,
asked
I'm
her
so
the same
curious
thing.
what she
Like,
said.
how do you keep yourself out of? Because I view that part of my intuitive gift in helping clients is being able to kind of see where they're supposed to go, and
Yeah.
I have to make sure I'm not projecting what I would do in their shoes and
Yeah.
truly stay to what I believe is the vision I'm getting for them. So how do you keep yourself, how do you keep from projecting yourself into their reading?
I think in the beginning, when I started doing this about 10 years ago, I think I probably did it a lot. I think I probably projected my own self. But like I said earlier, we're all fragmented pieces of a whole. And so a lot of the times that projection might be true to some degree. But as you get better, you realize that it's not really helpful to put your own stuff into it. And you start to learn when it's like there's a piece of Velcro in you. And it feels like, oh, that thing really stuck hard when I read that. And so that means it's more a mine thing than it is theirs. And sometimes there's something that just arises in the space between us two. And it's not sticking to me. It's not like oh, I gotta say this, or it's not so charged. And that's when I know that that's more my intuition, or a co-creation, something that's coming up between us that I've got to share with them. And I'm using their map, it's not like I'm just pulling stuff out from the ether. I know Ashok is more of a channeler and intuitive in that way, so she's probably a lot better at separating the two than I am. Um, but using the map is helpful because I'm looking at their map, so I'm not looking at my map. But sometimes you get somebody that has similar spheres as you, and you've got to apply it to them and not apply it to you. But if something really comes up for me, I'll share it if it's helpful. This came up for me, this resonated with me. I don't know if this sits with you, but I'm sharing it anyway.
And then my other question is for the skeptics out there, because this is one of the things when I first read it, I'm not a skeptic. Like I love this stuff. I just need to find an ounce that I connect with and I believe. I don't need
Yeah,
evidence. I don't need data to support it. If I see it and it resonates with me, then I believe it to be true. But part of me wondered, could these things be written in a way that people will begin to want to see themselves in it and then believe it? So to the skeptic, how do we like?
I
What's
get
your
it.
answer to
I
that?
was
This
I
is
was
actually real.
skeptic. I was
Uh huh.
skeptic. Yeah, I know. I used to be skeptical as well with astrology and everything. It was Gene Keys actually that made me realize that I do believe in it. I don't believe everyone. If I'm listening to an astrology reading, I don't the the fact that planets and the universe has a pull on Earth and has a pull on our own energy, I think that's a fact. But we're trying to interpret something that is wordless, we're trying to put words to this thing that it's all intuition. And so some people have different interpretations than others. And so I get that. I try to stick with the archetypes. So it's not like, that's why I like Gene Keys more than human design, because human design is essentially telling you what to do with your life. And I'm a little bit skeptical when something is telling me what to do with my life. But the world exists with archetypes and has since the beginning of time. And the Gene Keys and human designs are based off of the I Ching, which is the oldest system for recording archetypes. Before written language even, they were using this system to record different archetypes in nature, patterns, and patterns that found in nature. And then these patterns, as written language evolves and culture and systems evolve, they became archetypes that apply to transitions and changes in everybody's life. So, for example, life, death, rebirth, these are all separate archetypes. Eros, logos, these are different archetypes that exist in the world, that exist in our psychology and also in nature as well. And so that's why I love the Gene Keys, is even if you don't believe that you have your own unique system, read any of the chapters, and they will apply to some aspect of your own life or to nature. And so it's not like, let's pretend that it is all made up and astrology isn't real. You'll still get something out of it. And so for me, it's like, if you get something out of it, then, it's, the rest is just semantics. Is it real? Is it not? You're learning something from it. Um, but I get the skeptic. I was too.
I love what you just said about if you get something out of it, then that's all that matters. And I think about that a lot. Like when I talk about like synchronicities and winks from the divine that happen, like are they coincidence or are they something more? It doesn't matter because they mean something to me that gives me a little bit more confidence that moves me closer to where I go. So it doesn't matter. And the same thing here. Like one of the things on my gene key, it said that and this was the like woke me up. So I had a friend who told me about this and I did it. And the first thing it said was my life's work. And I'll show this here in a moment. It said, you're here to bring revolution into the world. And at first I was like, wow, that's major. And I'm like, no way is that true. And then I sat back and looked at it from like a wider lens. And I'm like, oh, like my idea of the authentic life and helping people live the life they believe they're supposed to live, like that's a revolution. Like I'm not going to like start an American revolution or something like with a war. Like that doesn't want to be. So once I connected with, oh, the authentic life is my version of a revolution, I was like, oh, this stuff is It's all true. Like I believe it. And it's just having that little bit that this random report generated off of my date of birth, my time and location generated this thing that really resonated with me. At that point, whether it's real or not, it's enough to give me confidence and conviction to start moving towards that, which is ultimately what's going to make that thing happen. So I don't know if it actually matters if it's real or not, if people are able to find the confidence that they needed to go forward and do it.
I always think the person that's skeptical is they're afraid of losing themselves. They're afraid of like, what if I start believing in this thing and it's not real? And then I start, every time the clock's 11:11, I have to make a wish and I turn into, this crazy person and you're never gonna, that person that's skeptical, they're never gonna turn into that person, and it's only gonna help them to believe a little bit more. On the contrary, the person that believes in everything and they could probably benefit from being a little bit more skeptical,
That's probably me. That's probably honestly probably I could probably benefit from being a little more skeptical, but like things have worked out so well that I don't want to let the skeptic in. I don't think I'm like blindly believing everything because there are things I question and I don't always. But if I feel any connection to it, I'm in. Like
It's only
that's all I
worked
need.
out for you, and I think it's just about having a little bit of faith. And I think a lot of people are trying to quantify success by doing these things. Steve Jobs did this and he woke up at 7 a.m. and he did this. And I actually think that what a lot that's missing from that conversation is a lot of these people use their intuition and they had faith and they followed the signs and they followed their curiosity. And I think that's missing from the conversation. And it seems like that's been working for you. And so why not keep doing it?
Well, as I found out as a manifesting generator, because you're one as well,
No, I'm a
operate.
projector, but
Oh, you are? Oh, okay. Then my bad.
Flip is a manifesting generator.
We operate off of intuition. And so like the cool thing about this, and then let's dive in a little bit deeper because we're talking about these things that we haven't shown at least a little bit. But so if I buy into human design as a manifesting generator that I operate off intuition, what the connection I made was I talk a lot about intuition in my content. Listen to your heart, follow your interests, like trust your gut because it's easy for me to do because that's what I am. That's how I am. That's how I was designed. But what I realized is not everybody is the same archetype as I am. So maybe it's not as easy for them to listen to their intuition. So I have to think how I explain things. Or the reason I really want to dive into this and collaborate with you with clients is learning how my clients are designed will help me communicate with them in a way that's more aligned with how they are. And maybe I can help them tap better into their intuition and become more comfortable with it. But if they're the opposite of me and intuition is hard for them to listen to, telling them to listen to their gut is going to do nothing. Like I need to know how to communicate with them based off of their design and then help coach them to be able to lean into it more because it is following my curiosity, following my passions, intuition. Like that's how I operate. And I've done it so much for so long. There is no fear. Like it's exciting for me when those things happen. When I have a new curiosity, like to me, it's exciting. And the one other thing I learned from the human design, which makes a lot of sense, is instead of going to chase those curiosities, I have to sit back and wait. That was one of the things I took away from human design was that oftentimes the manifesting generator is going to go chase things when really like we have to kind of know what it is, but then we have to sit back and wait for it to come to us. And then when it comes, go pounce. And I look back and there's so many things I went chasing, which I shouldn't have gone chasing, but I learned things along the way. So for me, it's really cool to see these reports and identify with them. And they're actually helping me better understand why I do the things I do and then helping me figure out how can I be more intentional, how can I be more efficient and be more productive in pursuing the things I want to do. So, okay, I've got this goal that I want to achieve, do some things to move in that motion, but like don't go chase too hard. Sit back and what will need to happen will come to me. And when it comes, then I need to go full force.
Yeah, I think it's also really great that you use it to speak the language of your clients too, because like that makes sense to you, but for somebody else it might not, and that's the beauty of human design. The danger of human design, which I feel compelled to say, is that some people will say, human design says I gotta wait, so I'm not gonna, and it becomes an extreme thing. I'm not gonna take any action. I'm not gonna do anything. Or the opposite. Human design says I've got to get out there and just keep pursuing. And then there's no silence and there's no reflection and there's no, at the end of the day, I mean, you understand this. It's about your intuition. And this resonates with me, so I'm going to do this. It's about you read something and you're like, oh, yeah, that works. And you feel it. It fits in your body, But you're right. The manifesting generators, there's a lot of things that can pique their interest. And they're meant to go after them in a sense, but not all of them. And they've got to know when to go after which one and when. And that only comes from reflection. I'd love to look at your chart, and I don't know what your authority is, if you're emotional or if you're...
I don't remember that off the top of my head. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
Real quick, though, I was going to read one thing. So from my gene key, the radiance, what keeps me healthy, it says, health and happiness for you are about working, which sounds like a bad thing, but I don't view it like, to me, my working is the creating that I love to do, but it says, you have a body that needs to be involved in creative projects.
Yes.
So like
That's 14,
I can
I
see,
think, right?
I can see it is 14. Yes.
Yeah.
I can see where even my gene keys are complementing my human design and how these all,
Yeah, they all fit
and I know
together.
that gene keys was born. Yeah. One thing I was going to say before we dive in, the deeper part, tell me if I'm wrong. I like going back to the part that you're talking about, being careful with people taking these and like diving too deep into them and following too close to like these are tools. I think they're tools.
They are.
Going back to like reading these reports, but then also allowing intuition to determine when I need to do things and using these things as a part of it. I just think these are tools, and that I don't, going back to the, do what Steve Jobs does. He did these things, you referenced that. Like, I don't think there's one universal way for any of us to achieve what it is. It's the thing that drives me crazy about podcasts and experts. Like, they speak as authorities, and like what they do is the only way. And I try to be very, very careful and say, this is what works for me.
Yes.
Try things like this, explore, and ultimately you take from all these other people and build this blueprint that is unique to you, human design, that that is how you're going to navigate. But what worked for me, pieces of it might work for you, but other pieces won't. And so like, I know that's why my videos don't blow up. I know that's why when I write a book, it's not going to be a New York Times bestseller, because I'm not going to go out and play the game of like, this is the thing to do to find your authentic self. Like, these are the things you need to think about. These are alignments that have worked for me, but you have to figure out what's the blend and how you do it all the way that's unique to you. And that's what's going to lead you there.
I love that you say that. It's also very an indication of 14, because it's about playing the long game, essentially. You're like, I'm just doing this thing. I'm not doing this thing because it'll get me anything. I'm doing this thing because it makes me come alive, and because it's creative. I'm expressing myself, and that's why I'm doing it. I think a lot of people get stuck there. How do I accomplish something? Or how do I... And it's not about that. So your radiance is about what makes you radiant. It's really about your body, what makes you healthy and radiant. And so that's going to be different for everyone. We can all follow the same diet. We can all do all of the exercise fads, but some people get sick, and some people still feel shitty, and some people, some people like running and some people like weightlifting, and they have different effects on our bodies. And I feel like Gene Keys is kind of like the biohacking of the spirit. It's like, what's unique to you? What are you meant to be doing? What's your unique kind of constitution? And how do you make that evolve and unfold out through you?
All right, so which report do you want to look at first? I have both Gene Key and Human Design.
Let's start with Human Design. We'll do a quick overview of Human Design.
All right. So we're going to be trying something I've never done before. It's sharing screens. All right, this is my Human Design. Okay, so you should see the first cover page.
Okay.
I was so bummed when I found out my birth time was 4:43. It would have been so cool if it was 4:44.
I know, right? I love when somebody has a clean birth time like that, that you can just remember.
So do you want to start on this chart and explain what this is?
Yeah, so this is the body graph, and it tells you how energy is. This is very complex, but it tells you how different energy is stored. So these, I'm trying to think if I should go into it or not.
Since it's complex and this is human design, let's keep this higher level. Basically on this chart, the body, how would you use this in better understanding yourself?
So you can basically understand if somebody is a generator, manifesting generator, projector, and reflector from looking at this graph. Okay. So, and you can also tell that you're an intuitive person because you have your solar plexus lit up here. And so there's also the numbers on the side, which these numbers are the same numbers in the gene keys.
Okay.
But whereas the human design tells you how this number operates as a design, the gene keys tells you how it operates as kind of consciousness evolving. And you can also see these same numbers in the I Ching, which is the oldest form of tracking archetypes, the oldest oracle known to humans. So I think we can go down into the next part. Okay, so you're a generator. You're not a manifesting generator. But you're intuitive because you have a sacral inner authority.
Okay, I know somewhere, I knew the report said generator, but I don't know if maybe I downloaded like the 300-page report, and that said manifesting generator. I know I didn't make that up because I wouldn't have put those two together.
Yeah, you wouldn't have known what a manifesting generator is.
Yes, I knew I saw it somewhere. I think it might be on like the 300-page report. But anyways.
This is your correct birth time and everything. Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, this is your birth date up here is correct, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So you regardless, you are intuitive because you have a sacral authority, which means you listen to that gut, right? It's your gut feeling. Not everyone has that. So for me, for example, I have an emotional authority. So there's going to be strong feelings that come with things, and I've got to ride that wave out and just feel the feelings, and then at the end, I might have an intuitive hit. But for you know right away you've got that gut feeling. And that's kind of what you were talking about earlier, which is when you try to tell somebody, just follow your gut, that's not going to resonate for everyone. They're going to be like, I try to listen to my gut, but all I feel is anxiety or excitement, or, it's going to feel totally different for them. So this incarnation cross here, we're going to look at in the gene keys because I think it does a better job of explaining. But you can see here where it really goes into the design. So your signature, when something is really working out for you, you feel satisfied. And when something is not according to your design, you're going to feel frustrated. So these are good kind of keys to follow. And it even goes into digestion, which is hot food, like cooked food is good for you. It's not the same for everybody, which is kind of cool, Taste, which is taste like flavor, but also taste like style, like you've got taste, which you'll also see in the gene keys as well. Motivation, hope, perspective, power, yeah. Environment, shores. You were just saying you like to go to the beach right?
Yeah, every year for the last 4 years, I would have been at a beach today, but not now because of basketball in high school.
So that's a good environment for you to be on the shores.
This is so funny. I'm smiling through this because I didn't know what any of this stuff meant. So like the hot food, I kind of chuckle because like I hate cold food. Like I'd rather have a hot sandwich than a cold sandwich. Like I know that's very little, but like to me, those little things are what give me conviction that the rest of the stuff is right. Taste.
Yeah.
And like fashion is something that I enjoy. So like it's just funny these things pop up. Like that's where the skeptics like, okay, well maybe everybody could find something that identify with that word, but there's too many things that resonate that I feel describe me to not have some validity in one way or another.
Yeah, I think so too. And it's like, even if there's something that's not, if you're taking something from this, like, oh, I should follow my intuition, that's a good thing to come off of this, But I think you'll see when you talk about style and everything, we'll get more into that in the gene keys. So, like the gene keys, they don't talk about this. They don't talk about digestion or, your not self theme or your signature. So that's why I say human design is more width. It covers a lot of ground. But gene keys, you'll learn a lot about why you have that style and why taste is such a strong sense for you. Yeah.
You want to go to Gene Keys next?
Yeah, we can do that.
So quick question. Why I thought I was a manifesting generator, like I said, I swear I saw that on some report. But now that I know that it's just generator, where may I have been off, or what's the big difference between the two?
So manifesting generator is a lot of interest, and you're doing a lot of things at one time. But the problem with the manifesting generator is they can do too many things at one time. And the generator, it's really about playing the long game, kind of what we talked about before. It's about like, this is my goal, this is my passion, and I'm going down this road and I'm following it till the end. And I'll read all the books, I'll speak to all the people, I'll do this. I can do this for the rest of my life, kind of thing, which you kind of talked about, right? Like you're like, I'll write the book, it's not for that quick satisfaction. You're like, I'll do this I'll play the long game because I love it. And you found that thing. And that's really important for generators, is to find the thing that really makes them come alive, the single thing, the one thing, and to follow that road down.
The reason I say interesting, the way you describe the manifesting generator, like there is a lot of that in me. Like I have a firm, like my advisory firm. I started a community. Like I've done a bunch of different things. I create content. I write, I podcast, I video. Like I do a lot of things, and I have done a lot of things over the years. But then what you just said about the generator is finding that one thing. Like I found the one. The one thing is the authentic life.
Yeah.
That is my one thing. For 10 years, I was doing a lot of stuff, ultimately understanding that now I did all the things to find my way to the authentic life.
I think of, Brene Brown.
Yeah.
So like her thing, I think she's a classic generator. She's dedicated her whole life to I don't know if she's a generator or not, but the idea of this is she's dedicated her whole life to vulnerability, the idea of vulnerability. She's got a podcast, she's got a book, she's a social worker. She does all of these things, but she's found one thing that makes her come alive, and she's dedicated her life to that. And so I think that's the same for you, is you've got all these different outlets, but authenticity is the thing that you're dedicating your life to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm even trying to make authenticists a word, which is really hard to say. But like people who are living their authentic life, like I want to call them the authenticists.
I love it. I love it.
So I'm going to try to create that word because so basically, I don't know if I told you this, but I think I've said it before in the podcast. I basically I am in the business of the authentic life. And I have these different avenues to bring people to it. One of them is the work I do as a financial advisor, aligning the values with their life plan and helping them live out their authentic life, like bridging the two together. Mm-hmm. Like that's one avenue. Another avenue is content, the podcast, the blogging, and all the stuff that will come in the future that are helping sharing this message. And then I have this creative collective business that is nothing right now called Pursuit, PRST. But that'll be a book publisher, a podcast network, a clothing brand. And so I want it to be like the clothing brand would be like a brand for the authenticists. So it's like, so I got to get better at saying the word, and then that'll go down in the future. But back to Brene Brown in that example, like that is, I do have my thing now. And this is the longest I've ever stayed on a thing before too.
Oh, really?
I've had lots of things along the way that I get into them, and it didn't light that fire. So then I kind of back out of it and keep on going forward.
What's an example? If you have, I'd love to hear it.
I mean, at one point, if I go back to the financial advisor business, I thought that working with entrepreneurs was going to be my thing. So I changed the business model, and I had a unique business model in that, like, tier 1 was personal financial planning. Tier 2 was business planning with your financial planning. And tier 3 was, all right, now how do we take your business next level? This is where we're going to incorporate content marketing and creating content, because I love creating and I have a very creative mind. And I feel like you can put me down in any business and give me an hour or two with the team, and I'll come up with like a laundry list of like content ideas and creative things that they could do.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, that would be a value add to my clients.
Yeah.
So I started going down that path. And then and when I do that, it's through content. So new blog, new podcast, the Entrepreneur's Blueprint. Like there's a handful of episodes. And then I realized that that wasn't it. And that's when I helped co-found the community, the AGC for financial advisors. And kind of what I realized was, I am going to work with entrepreneurial people, but just entrepreneurial financial advisors, have this community. Maybe there's some consulting that comes out. And the community is still alive. I'm still a part of it. I still love it. But I didn't go into consulting with financial advisors. I came back, and then through a burnout situation, aligning my own spirit, mind, and body, realizing how that made my life even better. Like, I want more people to experience this. And then that's how I figured out how to bring spirit, mind, body, and money together. That's the work I want to do. And then that's where the Authentic Life came to be. It was basically 3 years ago. It might be today. I need to go back and check. It was the first day I wrote a daily note. And so I've been writing daily notes. I've only missed a handful of days, but I think in the first couple of days is when I wrote about the Authentic Life for the first time. Because it was in a meditation on the beach where it was like whispered in my ear, Authentic Life. Like it came to me almost in like a whisper. And from then I haven't looked back. Like
On the beach.
there's been things, things I've tweaked and changes and rebranding and like kind of positioning things, but now like I'm in this lane. And as I was talking with Ushik, like she helped me confirm that I'm kind of in this 10-year ramp up. Like it's the overnight success that took 10 years to build. In 10 years, the Authentic Life is going to be something that everybody knows.
Yeah.
I'll be known for it. I don't know how big of a level. I don't really care. Like I don't care to be Brene Brown big.
Yeah.
Like that's not my goal.
Yeah.
If I need to be for the Authentic Life to like be what it's supposed to be, then great. But it's like back to the long game. Now I'm just doing all of the work, working with my clients, finding new clients to work with, meeting people like you, collaborating, creating, and it's all going to move this thing forward to where the Authentic Life will be as big as vulnerability will be in the future.
Yeah, I think it's interesting how you say like you tried other things, but I think when you look back, I think anyone, when they look back, your purpose was always there. You know, like there was always a version of it. It was just trying to manifest its form, kind of. And when you find it, and you know it, and you stick with it. And I think that's exactly what happened to you. And I love that it happened on the beach too.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, I'm going to share. I took us off on a tangent. I'll get us back on topic. All right, here is my Gene Key report.
Cool.
Okay. So I'll scroll. Do we need any? We'll talk about genius, love, prosperity?
No, we'll get there. You can just go to the map.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got 49, 4, 14, 8. Let's stick with the green ones.
Okay.
Which is called the activation sequence. So, sorry, I don't know if you can tell, I've been petting a dog this whole time.
Oh, you're good, yeah.
So 49, which you talked about a little bit earlier, which is reaction, revolution to rebirth, which is really about revolutionizing whatever sphere you find yourself in. So wherever you are at first at the shadow state, and so let's just start with the gene keys have a shadow, a gift, and a city. And so what happened is Richard Rudd, the creator of the gene keys, he actually studied the human design, and he realized that all of these numbers have more depth to them. If this is in the human design, if there's a gift, then there must be a shadow, a descent, and an ascent, the siddhi, which siddhi actually is a Sanskrit word for a realized being. It's a group of people called the siddhas, which are realized in their own specialization. So at the highest level, it's like sainthood level. It's if you were to become a saint of this sphere, it would be a continual rebirth, essentially. You would be at the ideal of that archetype. And so at the shadow level, it's reaction. It's that, you know, kind of when you see this a lot with younger people, they see something in politics or in the world, and they react to it. They rebel against it. So instead of being who they want to be or focusing on what can be, it's, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do the opposite of that. I'm not going to do what you tell me to do. And everything is like an irritation, kind of. That's at the shadow. But at the gift state, at revolution, it's, I'm going to revolutionize this. And it starts with the self, a revolution of the self. I'm going to revolutionize myself, my family, and then my community and my society. And it echoes outward. And so I think it's kind of what you said about how you realize, oh, like mind, body, spirit, authenticity, and then the people I work with. And then it's a revolution. 10 years down the line, everyone's going to be talking about this. That's very much a 49th gene key kind of way of thinking of things. And then you've got line 5, which is the fixer. They all have lines, which the I Ching also has lines. So this is a very ancient way of looking at things, and a very ancient system that's been upgraded. And so 49 connects to 4. Do you have any questions about 49, or should I just keep going?
No, you can keep on going. I just was going to comment. I remember when I was reading, I have all books on all this stuff. Like I
Okay,
was reading
cool.
about it, and I remember like the shadow, and I remember thinking that in a lot of these, I feel like I leaped over the shadow, or maybe I experienced them and didn't realize it. And what I'm realizing now is I heard you describe reaction. Like I can think back in time where I did react. Silly things like when it comes back to fashion and things, but starting my own firm, like I was reactive against my profession of like, I don't want to wear suits. Like I'm going to wear graphic tees and Jordans to conferences because I want to piss the old guys off.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I didn't realize that was part of getting to like the revolution and stuff. So it's really cool to hear that and then be able to real quickly think and identify, well, I thought I jumped over reaction, but I actually did do that, and here's some examples of it.
I think it's important to also note that the shadow is not a bad thing.
Right,
you know?
right.
Like you actually need the shadow to access the gift. And so it takes us out of victimization, because when you're in the shadow, you think, oh, why am I reacting? I hate this about myself, or what's wrong with me? But it's actually like, oh, I'm reacting. Now this is an opportunity. It's a gateway into the gift. And so you need the shadow. You can't bypass it. If you bypass it, it's not a real realization. It's not real growth. So 49 connects to 4. They're programming partners. So they operate together. So you'll see this. So the green ones are all connected to their programming partner. They'll always be together. You'll never see 49 paired with another number. You might see them flipped, 4 in life's work and 49 in evolution, but you'll never see them with another number. The ones in the middle, the red and the green ones, they can be on their own, but they still exist with a programming partner. And so it's always good to read the programming partner, and I'll get more to that later. So 4 is about intolerance to understanding to forgiveness. 4 at its shadow is very one-sided. This is how I see the world. It's very like, you see it in politics today, red, blue, extreme one-sidedness. No one wants to talk about anything with each other. This is extreme intolerance. Understanding the gift is, oh, I'm willing to widen my perspective. And I want to know what are you talking about? And how can I learn from you? And then the city state forgiveness is just, I forgive entirely. There's no me versus you. There's no right versus wrong. Everything is okay and everything is love. All of the city states are love at its highest capacity, at sainthood capacity. And at the shadow, it's survival. It's being in survival. So intolerance is born out of a fear of surviving. It needs to be us versus them. It needs to be my side versus your side because I'm surviving like this. And I'm talking about it at an extreme level. I'm sure you never experienced it at this extreme level. Most people don't. But most people also don't extreme the sainthood, right? I think I have dog hair all over me. I just realized from petting this dog. So next we go to radiance. radiance is, you talked about it a little bit earlier, which is the health of your body, how you radiate, how you, how you become radiant. Compromise at the shadow level is compromising your happiness, essentially. It's saying, it's either staying too long or leaving too quickly. It's about cycles of life. So it's again going back to that long game, kind of, which is present in a lot of the spheres, actually, is that it's indicating that like you're meant to be playing this long game. Because 14 is all about sticking through the course, staying with the course. And it's really about finding something that lights you up and sticking with it, even when it gets difficult, even when there's challenges, but knowing that you have a purpose and trudging forward with that purpose. And it's interesting because it's connected to your purpose sphere, which is all about authenticity. This is all about like your authentic style, and it's a style of the heart, which can translate to style in clothing and music and like all of that is definitely part of it, but it's an opening of the heart. It's an authentic expression. It's funny because everyone I know that has 8, they have good style. Like I have a friend that has 8, and I swear, like she comes over to my house, she looks at my clothes, she's always wearing like yoga pants, just like a normal yoga outfit, and she puts on one of my scarves and she looks so good. And I'm like, it's just a scarf. And the way she wears it, like she just turns it into style. Like it's her expression. Whereas if I wear the same scarf, like I'm not doing that. I'm not radiating in that same way. But so it's really about authentic expression and taste in a lot of ways. So that's just like a really fast overview of your activation sequence. I want to hear what you have to say, if you have any questions or anything.
Before everything said, my first question: why is purpose part green, part red? Is that normal, or does that splitting of the colors signify anything?
So it's you can see at the top one too. It's green and blue.
Yeah.
Because there's different sequences. So the activation sequence is the green ones. It's the life's work, evolution, radiance, and purpose. Purpose is also connected to the Venus sequence. So when you study the Venus sequence, you start from your purpose and you go into your attraction, your IQ, your EQ, SQ, vocation, this is really about how we come into this world wounded and in separation, and how we find our way back to love, essentially. It's very relational. It's about how we continuously open our hearts through relationships in the world, whether it's romantic or it's your parents or it's any kind of relationship.
It makes sense. Like when I hear all of that, and I remember reading some of it, but reading it, I didn't understand it near as much as what you just explained. So like it makes way more sense hearing it. But again, as I listen to that, and you and I have only had one other talk, and we didn't talk a lot about this. It's not like I divulged all this information for you to like work its way into this stuff and make it up. It's just I think this stuff is really cool and exciting, and for whatever reason, it gives me more confidence in who I am presenting and who I am being, and I am being my authentic self, because I feel as if I'm showing up that way, and I'm sure there's things that maybe I'm not even fully aware of that I kind of bend on a little bit, but for the most part, I talk about living an authentic life and being true to yourself, and I feel that I'm living it, and this makes me feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. And the reason I was excited about doing this, I'm gonna stop. Is there anything else you want to talk about this, or I'm gonna stop sharing?
No, I will say quickly, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm trying to fit a lot of information in, like, normally this would be over a course of weeks but your vocation here, 64, I remember you saying that you take an eagle as a sign, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like I have, this is on my thing. So I talk about bald eagles so much. My youngest, Silas, this is really creative. He found this
Wait,
rock.
what is that?
Let's see if I get
You
better.
can stop sharing your screen now. I can't see it that well.
Let's see. Stop sharing. So he found this rock, and then
Oh my God.
I wish it would autofocus better. but he painted it to look like, there we go, like a bald eagle. He found this rock. So
How
yeah, I
creative.
have, so I have the bald eagle back there.
I did notice the
He
eagle.
painted that one. I have a bald eagle tattooed
Oh,
here. I just got another one right here. So the bald eagle, I'm sure people have heard this story enough, but like that is one of the first signs that I began to see as I kind of aligned my spirit, mind, and body and kind of started to become this newer version of myself that was more in tune with nature and listening to the signs. And it seems like a silly thing, but like the reason it's so meaningful to me is Indiana has a bald eagle population. I think I need to go back and figure out exactly when I started seeing them. I want to say it's like 38. For 38 years, I either never saw one or never realized I saw one in the wild. And then as I started to connect to my authentic self, become more aligned and move in this direction I'm going, I'll see the bald eagle and it will be a sign of confirmation of what it is I'm doing or helping me make a decision. And if I'm thinking about something and it shows up, I know that I'm thinking in the right direction. So they always show up on time, and I never look for them. Like I know where they hang out from time to time and where I tend to see them. And so, but I'm not driving by the bridge every day looking for the bald eagles. Like they just show up.
it's interesting because your vocation is 64 and the programming partner to 64 is 63, and they all have animals. And the animal for 63 is the eagle. And so it makes, and it's about truth. It's about finding truth. And so it makes sense that when you see that, you know you're on to something. It's a moment of truth. When I saw that, I was like, I remember you mentioning the eagle, and I thought, I think the programming partner is the eagle. I was pretty blown away by that.
That's so cool. So like the reason I was excited to have you on was I want to just expose people to these tools that are out there. And you don't have to believe them, but go get, like, they're free. You can go get
Yeah,
and you can read a little bit about it,
yeah.
or I'll link, you can hook up with Daisy and she can, you can hire her to do a quick reading and give you more clarity around it if you start to be, believing in it. But I just want to expose people to these tools that are out there that might help them understand themselves a little bit better, which will help move them closer to their authentic self. And I was really excited to go through mine because I feel like people who listen to the podcast or read my stuff know me well enough to be able to hear you walk through this and like connect that there's some truth to it. Like they can say, okay, yes, like what Daisy's saying is totally him. Like there is some validity, at least for Justin. Maybe not. I just want people to try it. I want people to try it, see what they learn, see what they feel, and see what they take away from it, and just see if it helps them better understand anything about themselves. Because the more we can understand ourselves, the better we can get at moving closer to why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing and bringing. You talked about genius. I talk about unique gifts and talents. I think it's one and the same.
Yeah, it
We're
is.
built with these unique gifts and talents, and we're born with them. And part of our job is to figure out what they are and bring them to the world. So it's really cool to hear somebody else that I just met speak similar language in different ways, but be on the same page.
I love that. Yeah, I love when I meet somebody we're speaking the same language, but it's a language beyond words, right? And so we might be using different words, but at the end of the day, we're really going after the same thing. We're both passionate about people expressing their genius or their unique talents and gifts out into the world, and building a world where people have access to that. They have access to the tools and the people and the books where they can really build a life that's fulfilling and meaningful for them.
And the key thing is for them, like
For them.
shedding what everybody else says, and like for them, if it's provides them everything that they need, then how they stack up against others really doesn't matter. And I honestly believe, I know it's not possible, but I honestly believe if everybody tapped into this stuff and found their genius and was bringing their unique gifts and talents and being true and living their authentic self, like the authentic life, then like the world would almost be
A better
perfect.
place. Yeah.
It could be perfect if
It could be.
if
Yeah.
everybody did it. Like going back to we're just fragments. Like it completes the
Yeah.
puzzle and we all complement each other and there's no reason to fight. Like it would be perfect, but I know that's not possible.
No, but that's why not try, right? Like that's the
Oh,
goal.
exactly.
That's what we're
Well,
going after.
we may not get to total everybody doing it, but if we can get more people, then that does make the world better. Like if we can't get to 100%, but we can slowly move a little bit closer and closer to it one by one, then that's still making the world better.
Yeah, and that's That's really, I always tell people, like, everyone's trying to play the same game, competing against each other. But when you live like this and you really just try to operate from your genius or from your unique talents and gifts, and you become a service to the world and you exit the game entirely, you're not playing the same game as everyone else. You're in your own realm and you're not competing. You're just evolving. And if you're with other people doing the same thing, you're not competing. You're just evolving. It's an entirely new game.
Oh, I love this conversation
Yeah,
so
me
much. This was
too.
so much fun. Do you have any closing thoughts for everybody?
Um, no, I think just check it out. Give it a try.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid of trying it. You don't have
Hmm.
anything to lose. Just go to the website and check out your profile, or take the Enneagram test, or just
Hmm.
read a little bit with an open mind. You have nothing to lose from opening your mind. You can always close it again. You can always
Right.
become skeptical again.
Right, right. And I'll link to all of those, Gene Keys, Human Design, Enneagram. I'll link to all those. I'll also link to you, Daisy, to if anybody wants to work with you on their reading, I'll get them so they can connect with you. And I
Awesome.
highly recommend it. I think that it would be valuable, especially if you start to get excited about what it is that you're seeing. Like, let Daisy tell you more and more about it. But we'll
I'd
link to
love
that as
to,
well.
yeah.
All right. Well, I will let you get back to being a great dog sitter into the rest of your day. I appreciate you taking the time, especially during a holiday week and in between the holidays. But this is going to be a great episode to come out to kick off the year and hopefully inspire some people. So, Daisy, I appreciate it. And
Thanks
I'm
for having me,
glad we got
really. This is
paired
so
up in
fun.
I
Yeah.
got you. All right. Well, I will talk to you soon and
Okay.
see everybody in the next episode.
Bye.